And we are live on the Fake Media Show. Today, we are joined by Coach K from,
The Dead Ass Podcast. You already know who it is.
that's right, the Dead Ass Podcast, along with,
Tony Rich from the Intellectual Hustle podcast.
That's right.
All right.
All right. And today, we want to talk about this hot mess that's going on in Frisco, Texas,
Hey,
with the two young men who had an altercation. One didn't make it out, and it's kind of all the conversation in DFW area now as to, was it self-defense? Was it murder? What was it? Coach K, you seem to have a little, you right over there in Frisco.
Right.
So what do you say?
What do I say? This is a really tough one. I think you can make an argument for self-defense. I have a feeling I know it happened, and I have a feeling that there's a good chance that it could be self-defense. But this situation it's a really tough situation. It's tragic, but it's a really tough one. I've done a TikTok reel, and I even posted something on my Podbean. I said, let's wait. Let's not rush to judge on this because all of the facts haven't come out. And generally, when the facts do come out, they are skewed one way or another. So this is one that is going to be a real hot button topic, not only here, but I was on my way home and I heard something nationally on it. So, man, let's get into it, Tony.
with me personally, when I first heard about it, in my mind, for a kid to carry a knife in his book bag, that means he's been bullied before.
Right.
So I think they said the guy, what's his name, Milton? What's the one kid's name?
Austin.
Austin.
Yeah, Austin.
Was bullying him, told him to leave, get from under you under the wrong tent, and some words were exchanged. And Carmelo said, I'm not sure what he said, but he said something like, "You keep on, you gonna."
No, he said, "Touch me and see what happens."
Touch me and see what happened.
He got touched. Then he said, "Punch me and see what happens."
Yeah, and had his hand in his bag or reached in his bag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that means he'd been bullied before.
Yeah.
Something was going. They had an altercation, so he was ready.
So here's what I'll say. I was talking to a sales rep friend of mine yesterday, and what he told me is this incident goes back, a week and a half. So him having a knife there to me is not surprising. And if these two young men had been bullying him, this makes perfectly good sense. Perfectly good sense. So that's the reason why I say, let's let this play out. Tony, you can speak to this too. There are only a handful, and you can too, because you have a son. There are only a handful of reasons that most young men get into altercations. So I hope it's not about what I heard it was. And what I heard it was over is a young lady that had been dating the Austin kid that passed away. Well, supposedly she was dealing with Mr. Carmelo Anthony now. So that's the reason why there may have been some beef. So that may be the reason why those two young men rolled up in that tent the way they did. And that may be the reason why Mr. Anthony reacted the way he did. So when you hear more of the details, this may help this make sense and not just be a story just based on race or the optics of the situation.
Well, it's going to be based on race, no matter what you how you try to make it not be based on race. It just is because of the times we're in right now.
Yes, ma'am.
We have a very racist administration, and those who are racist are feeling real comfortable and real cocky right about now.
Very, very much so.
So the rest of us who are looking on, naturally, it's going to be our natural inclination to say, "See, this is what's happening because of the current administration,
Right.
Right.
and they're feeling empowered.
Let me add to that, because
Go ahead.
one thing about Texas, I'm from Dallas. I grew up in Dallas. And one thing about the suburbs, whether it's Rockwall Heath or Frisco, a lot of these kids are very similar. And what I mean by this, a lot of these kids feel entitled, right? Their parents aren't parenting them. Their parents are basically raising them as their friends. So you couple that with the entitlement, that is a recipe that'll get somebody hurt, because now those kids roll up in that tent. They've never had any kind of punishment for poor behavior by their parents, who make them feel entitled, like they can do and say anything. So I'm figuring that has a big part to play in it. Just like you said, Mama Jones, this administration has a lot of people with a lack of color in their skin feeling very entitled.
Well, you know what? It's not only that, but it's also we have our predisposed images of things. I went to the GoFundMe page for Austin's father. He made a GoFundMe.
Mhm.
And one of the pictures that he has posted there is the young twins and himself, and they're all in camouflage, and daddy's got a rifle. So daddy's been teaching them how to kill since they were little kids. Now, I don't know how that may have carried over to their everyday behavior, but as a black man or as a black child, a black teenager who has lived through seeing what has happened the last 5 years or so, that we've had awareness via live streaming and social media, and we see what has happened to the George Floyds of the world. Yeah.
Right.
If you have two 200-pound quarterback looking football players,
Linebackers.
Yes.
Linebackers.
whatever they are, and
Mhm.
they're threatening him. This kid didn't look to me to be extra large or anything, and we kind of feel like we do have to be able to protect ourselves, even with the new administration coming into office. A lot of us were hitting the gun stores, making sure we got our weapons, we have our bullets, because we know we're going to have to protect ourselves or our families from these not only entitled but empowered MAGA mentality people out here.
You mean that cult?
The
That
cult.
cult. Here is
Here
a
we go.
thing that
Here we
we
go.
have not talked about. And Tony, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
Here we go.
How do you teach our young black men to deal with what they feel like is a perceived threat? Now, if things played out the way they said that they played out, and those two young men, those two brothers, which have a reputation for being a bully in the community, rolled up in that tent, what would you do? Do you have a son, Tony?
No, but my mother and my uncles and cousins always told me, if you get into a fight and there's more than one person, you pick up the nearest thing to you and you do what you need to do to them.
Exactly. So when they
Yeah.
walked in there, knowing if the history is true between those two, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna perceive those two kids as a threat if I am Mr. Carmelo Anthony. And if I'm perceiving you as a threat and you move towards me in a threatening or aggressive manner, so man, I don't have anything else to do but put myself in a position to defend myself. Now, if I told you to stop, if I legitimately told you to stop and you keep going, then what do you call that? Stand your ground?
Of course.
Exactly. Hey, man, people forget about that Kyle Rittenhouse. What was that? After the George Floyd, his parents took him, or his mother or whatever, took him there, and he done that, and he got off.
Sure
Now,
did.
this young man perceived a threat and he defended himself. You cannot crucify him in the media until everything comes out. And I got a real problem
Right.
with how the media is portraying this young man, bro. I can rip it. Man, you can give me a whole hour on this.
Well, now I
Not
did
surprised.
post on DFWI Radio's TikTok page. I posted the two different versions of the surviving
story.
twin brother,
Okay.
which the initial version was Austin grabbed Carmelo's backpack.
Okay.
And it kind of made it feel like he was going to toss him out of the tent. I mean, why would you grab the man's possessions, right?
Right.
Then in the subsequent interview that he was on Fox, he totally repainted the picture where Carmelo was sitting behind them saying inappropriate things, and he turned around to address it, and Austin was going to stick up for him.
Yeah.
Totally different story.
Yeah.
And the way that he was saying it, it was kind of clear that he had been schooled on what to
Oh yeah.
Say,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that because the last interview I saw, it was the surviving brother and the mom, right? Now, when I looked at this video, this kid did not look like somebody whose brother died in his arms. Now, everybody handles grief different, but bro, this just happened like a handful of days ago,
Mhm.
and it was very weird. It was
It must have been the
almost-
same one.
It was
Yeah.
almost rehearsed and unemotional.
Yep.
So we got the same one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm huge on body language. I'm huge on body language. The father wasn't crying because he said,
No.
I can't process it right now. Well, if I'm a father and that happened to me,
Come
say, man, y'all done seen me when I talk. Say, I'm gonna be emotional. You're gonna feel my hurt. You're gonna feel my pain. I didn't see that from them.
Yeah.
And like I said, that's three different people: the mother, the father, and the brother.
The
All
twin
of them-
brother. Twin brother.
It didn't
Yeah.
seem very emotional to me. Didn't seem very emotional. Now, I got a problem with the DFW media. Number one, I got a problem with the bond. That is $1 million bond. Now,
That's
what
ridiculous.
a lot of people don't know in the state of Texas, $1 million bond is typically set for capital cases.
Yep.
He has not been charged with a capital crime. Capital crimes
Yes.
are like robbery or murder in the event of a robbery,
Right.
abuse to elderly or child, something like that. This is not a capital case. So you got a lot of people pissed off because of due process. Number one, this man gets an arraignment, which comes with a bail hearing. So they
There you
set
go.
that bail. Fine. If it's too high, your lawyer can go back to court and ask for a reduction. He has that right. That's called due process. And all those MAGA people and all those other people in Frisco, regardless of whether you like it or not, that young man has due process.
Okay.
Give it to him. At least give him that. And let's
That's right.
let it work out through the courts. Let's not try this young man like they do multiple black men in the media. That's where they want to try this case. That's the reason why I have a huge problem with it.
So is the bail issue being addressed?
Yes,
It is.
I read a
Okay.
report that his lawyer has asked for a bail reduction hearing. Yes, which
Okay.
is consistent with what is normally done. And I'll point this out. And we talked about this a little bit on my show. Yellow Beezy, the rapper out of Dallas,
Oh yeah.
he just got arrested, maybe 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
Mhm.
on a
Maltese
murder,
murder.
on a capital case, murder for
Capital.
hire. They
Yeah.
first set his bail, and this is the city of Dallas. They first set his bail at $1 million. His lawyer went back to court, and I think it got knocked down to 750,000.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So it's not unusual to get a bond reduction. It's kind of the way things work. So why are people upset? The charges have not been dismissed. It's a bail reduction. So say some of these people need to get off their high horse and get rid of some of those principles that they say that they have and let this man have due process.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not trying to hijack your show, Miss.
No. You go ahead because you know
Yeah.
more about it than I do
Yeah.
at this point. It's all about. Matter of fact, I need to turn my mic back on, right?
It's all.
Is my mic on? Okay.
Yeah. And here's my other problem. When you see most of our black young men catch a case like this, you see their mugshot. Now, why are they showing his mugshot on the news? He's not convicted. That man has a senior picture,
Yep.
jacket, tie. He's got pictures in his uniform. He's got pictures in his football uniform. He's got pictures in his track uniform. Why not show the whole? Why not show Mr. Anthony as a whole?
Because they don't want to show him in a positive light. They
At all.
You want to show
black.
Mr. Austin in this light, and you want to show Mr. Anthony in a whole nother light. Hey man, those optics are going to cause a problem in the DFW area and nationwide. This shit right here is a hot button case, bro.
That's why we're talking about it.
Yep.
So I have a question for you, since you're close to the area. You may or may not know this,
Yes, ma'am.
but were the twins even there to run track?
Yes, they were. Yes,
They were part of the track meet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And
All right.
actually, the one Austin who was stabbed, I think he was actually participating that day and may have just recently gotten finished. So
Okay.
Another thing that people think he was just hanging out in that tent. Now, according to reports, it was raining. You know, we had
Right.
rain last week. So
Right.
I think this happened on Wednesday. So we had rain on Wednesday. So he was probably, okay, let me go back. Now, people don't understand. Frisco has 6 high schools and it's not that big. So it's a lot of kids jammed into a small area. These kids grew up in Frisco probably. If they hadn't grown up together, these kids probably know each other playing sports and participating in sports. So I do not think that young man was a stranger to to Austin and his brother. So let's just start there. So it's not like they didn't know him when they walked in there. These kids,
Which was
know
a
each
comment
other.
that the twin did say, that I did not know who he was
Yeah, no,
before this happened.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, you did. And if you
Yeah,
didn't
okay.
know him, you probably knew of him.
Yeah,
So
'cause
you
they-
cannot tell me.
The sports world
sports
is
world,
small.
yeah.
Yeah, so man,
Frisco small.
this don't even make sense. Let me just say this. You got 2 white kids that walk in a tent and see one black guy there, and it's raining, and they tell him, you gotta go. You gotta go.
And
You gotta go.
that's part of the issue that I have with it is, because I'm seeing comments about, and one person that on the TikTok page said, well, he just didn't comply. Well, he didn't have to, because those guys were not his boss. They don't tell him what to
No,
do.
they're
At
not.
all.
So my whole thing is, first of all, I think as black kids, one of the first things you're taught is keep your hands to yourself.
Yep.
Obviously, somebody's parent did not teach them, keep your hands to yourself.
Yep.
The other thing is, mind your own damn business.
Correct.
Why did these kids feel like it was their job? And the mother clearly said in her little interview that her son was doing the right thing by instructing the boy
No.
that he needed to go.
No.
What?
No. Now there's ways.
And what was the word? It wasn't even the word that it was a word that she used that I found offensive. I can't even think of what it was right now, but
There is a way to ask anybody to do anything respectfully. Here's what people do not understand: your tone. Now, depending on how they ask that young man will depend on, that'll determine how he perceived that. But
First of all,
I do not think
he wasn't asked.
He was
They
told.
didn't ask him anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Secondly, why was it their business to worry about who was in
He
that
was under
tent?
that tent.
The twins said, our tent.
Mhm.
Yep.
You don't own it.
You don't.
You
That's
don't
where that
own it.
entitlement comes in, gang. I'm
Exactly.
telling y'all, man. These
Yep.
kids. And okay, let me tell you guys a story. Rockwall Heath, my youngest son, he just graduated last year. Now I'm gonna take you back to his middle school, 7th grade, maybe 7th, 8th grade, and we're gonna talk about entitlement. So the quarterback that he played with through his entire high school season, he's played with since he was small. Now there was an issue of the N word being used in a text, right? That he was involved in. We addressed that with the parents who are supposed to be super Christian, right? They addressed it, no problem. Never had another problem with that kid. And on the outside, he is a great kid. Here's what I will tell you. He would be portrayed just like Austin. Everybody loves him, can't do anything wrong. Last year before they graduate, you know what they found out, or you know what everybody else out here found out? He's a drinker. I think he smokes. He's smashing some chicks. And oh yeah, by the way, he is a big time gambler and he has gambling events at his house. Now, I'm not saying that's Austin, but what I am saying is some of these images that they're portraying and how they really are totally different. Rockwall Heath ain't different than Frisco, Texas, and I'm telling y'all this, gang. Don't let them finesse you.
Well, we
No.
did have a comment. We did have a comment. We had a couple comments, but there was a comment that said that Austin was a drug dealer.
I can believe that.
That's allegedly. I have no proof of that, but that is what a comment said, was that he was a drug dealer. Now, there was some false information also that said that an autopsy report came back that said that he had meth in his system. I don't believe that.
I haven't heard that, but
I think that's fake.
yeah. I wouldn't. Nah, you know what?
I did post the story though. I did post it, but I did say these allegations are alleged
Right. Yeah.
till further notice. But I didn't put it out there.
I don't know, man. And like I said, I've been around these high school kids for several years now because of Nori. It's a lot of weed being smoked, a lot of alcohol being drank. Just the normal stuff. I haven't heard anything about meth. So if that is true, that would be shocking. I hope not. I truly hope not. But it really would be not the norm.
Anything is possible.
That's the new drug. That's the new thing. But let me just play devil's advocate. Okay. Everything you said about the white kid, drug dealer, the other guy, you said he was a gambler. What does that matter? We've all been in high school. We've all known, either dabbled in it or knew somebody that did exactly what these kids are doing now, right? So that shouldn't make this right or wrong.
No.
The point of it is, the young man lost his life.
Mm-hmm.
Don't matter if it was a drug dealer. And if he was a drug dealer, what he said in a nickel bag,
that wouldn't have had any bearing on the case. Unless somebody ripped him off for his drugs, and that was why this whole thing went down. You just never know. But being that they were both athletes and they were participating in an athletic event, I would be inclined to not believe that there were drugs related to it, because one does not go with the other.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Man, here's what I say, and this goes to a United States problem. It comes down to character.
Yeah.
Character. Now, if these two young men had really high morals, like they're supposed to have, and they had high character, if there is an issue, there are 1,000,001 coaches out there. When it's track season, I've been out there. I was just out there last year. It's 1,000,001 coaches that you can go find if there was a problem with another student from another school being under that tent. Their character and their entitlement made them feel like it was okay to do something. That's not okay, gang. The court, man, we have a problem here in the United States with character, and you can see that with our president and the whole doggone administration.
You said that.
If the character that is on display in Washington is okay, then who the hell can be mad at this 17-year-old Austin kid that has the same kind of character? And people say that character doesn't matter. Yeah, it matters. Your parents, their character could not be that high if they're out here letting you bully kids. Because you know what would happen if Nori came home, or I had a report, or Stephanie had a report that Nori was bullying kids? Oh, yeah. That's been to stop. It's been to stop ASAP Rocky real quick.
Yes, sir.
That's not cool. Kids do not deserve to be picked on. Stop
Right.
it, man. That shit starts at home. You teach your
That's
kids
right.
right, and then they won't get hurt when they come out here in these streets. Because people think everything is everything. It's a life and death situation out here, as we can see, as we can attest to. Now, maybe if they would have had a little more character in that home, I wouldn't even be on this podcast with you, because it wouldn't happen.
And let me just throw this in there as a twin. When you have a twin, you always have backup. There's a chance that had he just been solo, none of this would have happened.
Thank you. When you a little bit of how can I say this? When you got a little bit of balls,
That part.
and you got some backup, it will entice you to be a tough guy.
Yep.
Say, because your twin brother, and my dad is a twin, so those bonds are a little bit different than most people think. So yeah, I don't know. Now, I don't know the kid. I don't know if he would have done that had his brother not been there. I have a feeling it may have played out a little bit different. But those are two brothers, two twins that displayed the exact same characteristics. So what do that say? If your twin brother is getting ready to get into a physical altercation, and you think that there's a chance that he might be hurt, hell, if I had a twin brother say, I'm finna stop that. Well, his brother didn't stop it. And to some accounts, he actually perpetuated it.
Yep.
What that say?
Kind of what it seems like.
It
And that's
starts
not
in the
even
home.
that's not even
That's
about
what it's
twins.
saying.
That's about siblings, period.
Thank you. But your twins are different. Say, man, it ain't no way. I have one sister and we're not real close. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to let her pick on somebody else. And I'm not going to let her harm somebody else, because I got character. We ain't doing it. My mama didn't raise us that way. And I ain't saying they mama raised them wrong, but
it looked like it.
What was in the house and what left the house, two different things. They can pick, and the media can pick which one they want to talk about.
Well, I think at the end of the day, or at the beginning of the day, or even in the middle of the day, the moral of the story is keep your hands to yourself. Mind your own business. Don't worry about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with you.
Thank you.
And like somebody said on my post, they said, if his mother had taught him to keep his hands to himself, he could have gone home to eat her unseasoned chicken.
So you better watch your mouth out here nowadays.
On that note,
say, man, here's what I find to be funny in any confrontation, whether that is young adults or, adults with a little more season on us like us. Hey, man, when you're Black, you're taught a different kind of conflict resolution than people that are white. We're always taught to, hey, man, you're the one that has to be the bigger person. You're the one that has to walk away from it. If anything happens, you're the one that's going to be responsible. So most of our African American kids, unless put in certain positions, the good kids. I ain't talking about.
You ain't talking about me?
No,
because I know when I first moved to Texas, my dad was from Texas. I grew up in New Jersey. My dad had moved to Texas after my parents got divorced, and we were in Terrell, Texas, of all places. And when I got down there, I was 16 years old. My father handed me a .22, offered to teach me how to use it, and he said, if anything happens, shoot first, ask questions later.
Well, you're a female. It's different with males.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that.
No. It ain't much different. Let me tell you.
Not much different, but yeah.
Hey, let me tell you what my mom and them told us. So they said, if somebody finna jump on you, or they getting the best of you, you pick up something and you knock the shit out of them.
There you go.
Say now.
But they didn't say go start something. They said
no.
If somebody messing with you,
finish it. Hey, man, if in most responsible Black households, if you come home and you were the one that started it,
you getting your ass.
It's going to be a problem for you. I guarantee
problem.
you that one.
Big one.
Right.
Because you go to school to learn, and those extracurricular events, that's just an extension of school. So I don't need to hear you. I don't need to hear about bad stuff. You doing that out there. See, what people don't understand is when you leave your house, you're an extension of your parents.
That's right.
And you know what I would tell my kids, and I tell Nori this today. Remember who you belong to when you leave this house. He's 19 years old. He at the University of Houston. Remember who you belong to. You represent us. We didn't raise you that way, so don't go out there bullying people. If you need to defend yourself, you defend yourself like they tell a lawyer, vigorously. and he did this year, and he didn't turn it off. They had to make him turn it off, but the kid pushed him.
Mm-hmm.
That is called protecting yourself. That's what we teach in our house.
That's right.
That's right.
I don't see nothing wrong with protecting yourself.
We've seen enough times when the person didn't protect themselves.
Thank you.
So you cannot hold him. You can't blame him for protecting himself.
No, and you know what? You can't blame the kid if he was scared either. At the end of the day, say, man, we were talking about a 17-year-old boy. Even though
I feel like had he been as aggressive as they're trying to make him out to be, he would not have stabbed that boy one time and run. He ran.
He ran, exactly.
He would have stabbed him multiple times. Because that's when you really want to hurt somebody, you're not just gonna stab him one time.
Yep.
And I don't think that he knew that he had stabbed him in the heart.
And you know what else? And I'm just gonna tell you the God's honest truth. If I would have been Carmelo Anthony in that tent, and him and his brother would have rolled up on me and scared me, so I would have went after them both.
Mm-hmm.
If they would have put me in that position, and trust me, I don't want anybody to think that I am endorsing what happened. I don't want anybody to think that I'm endorsing violence. But if it's 2-on-1,
absolutely,
and you're having a fight, if you leave one, you a dummy. If
Yep.
you don't go after both of them, you a dummy.
Take them out.
Because look,
yep.
if you don't go after both of them, then you still have a threat that's there.
Yeah.
Come
Yes,
on,
sir.
bro. The
Yep.
number one thing, you want to reduce the threat.
Yes, sir.
Say, man, I'm different. Say, I'm getting both of them.
And you a twin, and he's a twin. Oh yeah.
I'm getting both of them. Say, and then when I get finished with them, I'm gonna come to their house.
That part.
Say, man, if you want to get into it with me and my family, say, bro, I want to end your whole bloodline, so that way no more of that bullshit gets put out there on the street.
And furthermore, let me just add this, because there are those who are saying that this was premeditated.
No.
It may have been premeditated on the twins' part. I don't know. But if it had been premeditated on Carmelo's part, he would have had his boys with him.
Yeah.
He was going up against
That's
two
true.
guys. What little guy like him? He wasn't a big. Carmelo's not a big
No, he's
person.
not.
No.
What person Carmelo's size is going to say, yeah, I'm going to go after these two twin 200-pound brothers? I'm going to no.
Miss Pearl, you well, both of y'all done seen me. I'm not a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't the biggest in the world. Now, if I got Tony, you and your twin brother roll up on me, I perceive that as a threat, man. I'm not a big dude. I feel like you guys will probably be able to handle me, both of you together. Now, one-on-ones, hey, bro, it might be different, but the threat perception is different when it's two versus one.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Let's just make that clear. His
Absolutely.
mental state at that time, with it being two brothers, would be totally different than if it was just one. So it cannot be premeditated.
Right.
No.
Come on, man. That shit don't even make sense.
No,
Nope.
it doesn't.
Nope.
No, it doesn't.
All right. Well, are we done?
Coach K, great
Hey,
having
man,
you.
we can get up off them if y'all want to push up on somebody else. I'm game, but yeah, man, I think I think we covered that. I just, like I said on my podcast, I just want to be responsible. I do not want this young man to be crucified in the media, but I do want to bring the facts as responsible as possible. So we're doing our Black community a favor.
It's going to be black against white. And actually, I've actually seen some white people on Carmelo's side, because clearly, so you can say it's black against white. We got to look out for our own. Just put it like that.
Right.
All right, y'all. Well, we're going to have to do this again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Tony,
Appreciate
brother,
Oh,
I am
yeah.
sorry if I took your time.
No, you
Go ahead.
didn't.
No, man.
I
No,
did.
you're okay. You all right?
All right, man.
You okay?
Hey,
All right, Coach
it was
K.
it
thank
was a
you.
pleasure. Thank you, guys. Call me anytime.
All right, then.
Have
Talk
a good
later.
one.
Okay, we out.
All right.
All right.
Peace.